She said she was on,
Oh,
but
Let's find out. Hmm.
didn't bring my workshop binder though, it's in the truck.
um,
Well, so
I'm gonna hand out some stuff for
Okay.
you to take with you. And just go over it and then, so you don't have to digest it tonight, just afloat it tonight. Okay, so I think everyone's in and Jamie is here.
okay.
I'm not sure what Jim's phone number, that's Jim, so we'll have to ask if he's here. The TV's broken, unfortunately.
Owl's not on either. Oh. But you don't see the lights work.
Hi, Don,
Yeah,
it's
it's just
Jamie.
me.
I'm on Zoom.
It was supposed to be all set up.
Yeah, this is Jim King. I'm here.
I think that's on our next agenda.
Yeah, I think they put it out to bid, right? Or they were getting some bids.
Oh, put up proposals.
Okay.
Everybody's finding
Oh,
it
great.
quite frustrating.
I don't usually set this up, Debra, so I thought it was on.
I don't think it's on.
Where's the power?
What
line?
happened to the
One guy came or
Power.
either came or talked
Here?
about it.
Go up here?
Lease it for so
Take
much
that
a
off.
month. It seemed awful reasonable.
Oh, they
Never
use that.
happened.
Yeah, I think
What about the bottom?
that is the online based system,
Oh, yeah.
whereas this one here is
That's
actually
new.
in-house.
Right by the wires.
Everything's in-house, is
Yeah.
screen there for people to see. There's one also here
Yeah.
for us to see from the.
Hang on, just a second, it might be good.
From different
Oh,
mics,
yeah,
different audio speakers and
Yeah.
microphones throughout the room.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah, get rid of that thing, Bob.
Yeah,
These microphones.
just like going to a ballpark. Oh, screen.
Well, you just gotta be careful where you put microphone. Our office is wired like that. You can sit deep in the back and everybody can hear you when you have a call.
Yeah.
So, you know, somebody starts talking back there, you can still hear them, especially on
Well,
Zoom.
there's different, from what they say, there's different,
You can do
you
different.
can actually take it, tone down the sensitivity of it in
Yeah.
different zones.
Oh,
The way
really?
that it's set up, so you can tone down so you don't catch, you know,
The audience
conversation. There's a lot of tailoring
Yeah.
with it. It'll be a nice system if we can get it through.
That's good.
I'm not sure why I'm the only person showing on here. I'm not a fan of it, of the view.
Turn
Um,
your camera off,
and just have the audio.
have the audio, I mean, they don't need to see you. It's okay.
Time we can't see anybody.
The problem is if the owl's not working, the audio is gonna be bad.
I know, it was like, no lights on.
Doesn't the top, does the top light up?
Yeah, well, it's got like a couple of white lights and there's another light. hopefully.
So I think now it's showing, the camera is showing just from the computer is showing me.
Yeah,
I've logged in wrong, incorrectly maybe.
It's that, Dawn, it's the owl. Because the owl's supposed to
Probably
pick
just
up the
see, just one
audio.
more minute here and see if I can.
Meeting another one tonight. Oh, that's the parking lot. What are we doing? Are we discussing the mineral ordinance?
I thought we were approving it or something else, I was there, I was here 20 minutes early and I saw that parking lot, I was like, oh, what did I walk into?
Glad I got a reserved seat.
If I'm working at the other end of the lot, 20 minutes early, I'm in big trouble. Swear's gonna be back.
So Madam Chair, I see that Jamie's here.
Okay.
I'm not positive if Jim is here because I don't recognize the
It was on the phone number.
the phone number, but if you want to call the meeting to order, we can do a roll call and establish that way.
Can they answer it at all?
Yeah, they should be able
They-
to,
They can talk to us, and we can talk to them. we can see.
just can't see, yeah.
Dawn, can you hear me?
I did turn that back on, so I would hope through the speakers.
Well, we'll see what
Dawn.
happens. All right, let's call the meeting to order.
This is
Christ.
Jim
Jim, she
King.
can't hear us. I'm trying to text them and they can't hear us.
Okay,
don't know
well,
why.
can you let them know I'm here?
Yeah, I
Sure.
did. I
Let me
messaged
know
her,
when
but I don't know if
Norris
she's
I'm
gonna
gonna
see
keep-
it.
Eagle is here. We have
Okay,
a video.
I don't know
Tony
how it
Matisse.
works, but I'm gonna mute my
Gregory
phone
Stewart.
just in case.
Betty Harris Howard,
Here.
Aaron Chase.
Here.
And Richard Dory,
Here.
and Jim King.
He's here.
Yes,
You can't hear us, but he's here.
Are you there, Jim?
He is.
yeah, I'm here.
Who wasn't here last?
I'm here.
Oh, for Christ's
There's a
sake.
phone number. It looks like it may be someone trying to talk, but I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, I'm here.
No, Colt, you gotta be quiet. I'm on the phone.
The chat, if they can say, we can't hear you, you have a question or a
Hold on.
comment, please put it in the chat.
I can't, excuse me.
Don't see the chat. Okay. Speaking, but you cannot hear the audience. So Jim, if you're there, if you could please put a message in the chat letting us know that you're here. Well, we do still have a quorum. He's not indicating that he's here.
Not, so Jamie's on.
Yes.
So, can we do that? So we have two
Yeah,
applications.
I'm using my phone
The
app,
first
so I don't have
It's
chat available. on it.
24-005, 550, Old Lewiston Road, the consideration of a request for conditional use permit for retail outdoor storage and display rural district PRW property, Bernard Weymouth Jr., map 004, lot 030A. Is anyone present? For
Madam Chair, did you already appoint Rick did you appoint Rick formally as a voting member?
Oh, I thought, you know. Yeah.
So he's an alternate, so you have to formally designate him as a voting member.
Oh,
Rick, Rick's tonight is gonna be a voting member tonight.
sorry about
Okay,
that.
sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
All right, so Rick is a voting member. Thank you.
Rick, please, you be able to remember, please. Okay, if you, I'll get that down. when you say. Usually we have plenty of people here.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought you were voting. But that really- no, yeah. All right, so is there anyone present for the applicant?
Yeah.
Oh, you are.
I think.
I thought you were. I just, do
Yeah.
you have a presentation for us?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I'm just looking to, sell some, lawnmowers and small tractors, and I do have just sawmills, a sawmill if you want to put up, send it as well. Just looking for, I've got a spot where a lot that I own right next to my driveway, and it's already grassed over. I'm not looking to change any of the landscape other than just, I gotta level out. I pulled a permit to demo a house there, and I built a foundation in that process, I'm just gonna level it out and seed it, other than that. Nothing's gonna change, landscape wise, other than a fence go up along, the back part of the lawn. Stockade fence.
Will you be moving any trees around or anything? No? Anybody have any questions?
I guess I just have more of a general question, just it didn't sound like you were doing any earth moving, but as far as the business, I mean. When I think of like, lawn tractor sales or tractor sales and then lawnmowers, you can drive by like Union, Union Motors, there you see like 10,000 tractors lined up. So I don't think that's necessarily what you're shooting for
No,
or aiming for, but, I didn't look close enough to see how big is your lot?
I
Just
think the
roughly.
dimensions are on there,
Hmm.
it's maybe 40 feet. How big is the entire lot?
Yeah,
Like, it's on a lot that's 48 acres, but it's, the display lot is probably 50 feet back from the road by maybe 200 feet wide,
okay,
and then like a 30 foot by 50 foot on the other side of the building. Goes down the building, right, so the road.
okay, that was, yeah.
Yeah, I
Which is
looked at
already
it earlier.
I saw the picture.
Quite a bit of land there.
I didn't really see that. And as far as your signage, you're aware of our town ordinance for sign. You know, like if you're gonna put a sign up, what the requirements are.
Yeah, I'm not putting a sign up over there, I'm
You're
not
not?
a sign in the building, but
Okay.
not where,
Regardless of, you know, on the building is fine too, but it's just to make sure you're aware of our sign ordinance. I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that when to put a sign up. Yeah, I think my only question was, you know, was there a size? You know, we talked about, you know, when people do like card sales and things like that, we kind of cap like the number of cards they have for sale. Given kind of the space, and I don't know if that's something that the board wants to consider. If we want to say, you know, a certain number of units on display at any given time. You know, and I don't know, I'm just asking you, the applicant, like, what would be a reasonable number that would be probably higher than you would be seeing?
well, I probably have the most right now, is I had to buy into their program that I'll ever have. I've got 25 mowers right now in Fort Track, so.
Okay, so if we said something like cap to 50 units, that would be reasonable for now, for you to be able to,
Absolutely,
okay.
I don't believe I'll ever see 50 units.
Well, again, I just, that, so that we're not dealing
Yeah.
with, you know, something where you're seeing 10,000 units.
Yeah.
That's my only concern, we do that in the rural zone.
Yep.
Just always trying to be mindful of a small business, not necessarily a large business, so I think, and I wanna make sure to accommodate you, so I'm just asking that question to say what's reasonable.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to come back in 6 weeks and be like, oops, I need more.
Yeah.
So you've got some room to grow. If you grow, great. And if it gets a lot bigger, then you come back and we talk again.
Yeah, that's more than reasonable.
Okay.
Now, you said you weren't gonna have any lights, outdoor lighting?
No, I'm not gonna have any. These are on display, I've got some on the building already, but
Oh, okay. I'm
just
like,
not where these
gee,
are.
it's still. I was getting concerned with your property.
No, I've got some on the building
Oh,
already,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're not putting anything
I don't
else
see
up?
power over
Just
there.
leave them as they are.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more question. You are going to let people drive around in those, right? If they
I'm
want
gonna
to try it?
drive right in the middle of the road.
Huh?
I'm gonna let them drive down the road.
Oh, no, okay. No, because the way you word in here, and it may be me, and you say, you know, no. Passive, well, it's only passive, so you got 3 people driving lawnmowers around.
No, I
They
mean-
will, I didn't realize it was such a big property.
Yeah, no, I've got, if they're driving lawnmower, it'll be down,
They won't be in the farm.
most likely be my kids in there.
With the bull, they're gonna go riding with the bull.
No,
Anybody else?
Nope.
No, so anyone want to make I know you did.
Yeah, you do it.
I know.
Oh, but do we want to make sure that nobody from the public?
Oh, okay, well, I said I will put it to do that.
Well,
Was
I don't know
anyone
if that
from the
person online,
public?
you may just want to ask who they are, you know, and if, are they here for the second case or what are they, you know, kind of here for?
Yeah.
They can listen, they can just be general public listening.
I
That's
this
perfect.
guy, oh, no, I'm putting the hand down.
keep it quiet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a quiet side. Oh, God, they're crazy. They don't want to talk, so
that's okay.
we'll leave it to you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I just want to make, it says here in the chat. It's Kat posted, Jamie, I'm not sure if she's able to hear anything from Zoom. I'm not sure. If that means if that's explanatory to anyone else, does, no one's raising their hand. I just want to make note of that because it is the public input. Doesn't appear anyone's asking questions, but it appears someone can't hear.
Maybe I'll,
So-
maybe I'll,
So no one from the public present.
no, they left. They went to the body to put this down, by the front door. It's bad if it's not done.
And I started it, so I will make a formal motion. I'm going to make a motion that case 24-005-550 Old Lewiston Road, consideration of a request for a conditional use permit for retail outdoor storage and display in the rural district, BRW Properties, Bernard Weymouth Jr., map 4, lot 30A, be approved. Oh, sorry, with the only condition that we're gonna limit to 50 units
That's right.
on display.
Yeah, second, all in favor? Opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
I'll send you a notice of
Don't get
decision for your record.
155. No more motors.
I'll keep them out of the way.
Oh, all right, all right.
Call him.
They're gonna have lawnmower races down
There you
the
go.
road.
Hey, that, yeah, you never know.
Are you gonna service just what you sell, or are you also gonna service other?
I don't quite know yet.
You don't know yet, okay?
Yeah, right now, it's, I know, definitely know the service myself.
Yeah.
But I've got a couple of people that are gonna help me, and I just need to make sure that they're up for the task of other stuff.
Yeah.
It's good. Sorry.
It says I have 8 new messages. I'm not doing a very good job here.
I know, I'm just wondering if it might be Jamie or something.
Oh.
I don't know. You're welcome to stay for the next part of the meeting,
Stay.
or? You can just stay with the rest of the.
This just reinforces his thought on the whole new
Yes.
system, maybe.
Oh, that's just terrible.
Oh, just see what it is.
Okay, so Jamie is here and and apparently the Sophie is the person who's representing the next application,
That's her boot. Oh,
and we can't hear her. And then she's asking for a number to call. I know this isn't smart, but I'm gonna give it.
Like that.
Can I, oh, in the minutes, it's on TV, I think.
Only the people that are on. So
Well, that's true. On copy. Oh, here we go. Okay. Jamie.
No.
Hi,
Hi.
sorry for the confusion.
All good. I'm gonna, hold on. Back away from the laptop. I'm gonna loop Sophie in, okay?
Okay, great.
All right, hold on.
Can everyone hear that okay?
oh, yeah.
Right, don't go everyone.
Oh, it's that. Um,
Okay, Dawn and Sophie. I'm here.
We're here.
Okay.
Okay, the next case is page 24-004.
Betty, can you
Oh, I'm
lean into your,
sorry. Hello, okay.
Yes, sir.
24-004-206 Boot Cove Lane, consideration of a request for conditional use permit to clear trees and install septic tank in the public water supply district. So if you're signing the map, 45-9, lot 143. So you're here to represent yourself?
Yes, I'm representing myself. On some of the, on the part of the paperwork that's attached to the application, it says that the property owner is Robert Gilberti. That was the person that we bought the property from in 2022. So I don't know if that needs to be removed or taken off because he doesn't own the property. I am the property owner.
I can update that record for the file.
Okay, I saw a lot of names.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
In here too.
Yeah.
Which states that.
Okay.
All right, you want to tell us about what you're doing, Sophie, please?
I'm sorry, it's really difficult to hear, so I don't know if someone just asked a question.
Could you please give us an overview of the project?
Yep, so we are just interested in building in another small cabin, for my mom. And we are doing it, it's about 550 to 150 feet from the actual water line. It's across the street on the other side of Boot Cove Lane. It's not on the water. It's just gonna be a small, like 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, cabin essentially.
You're putting in a septic system? So be putting in a septic system?
Can you hear that, Sophie?
No, I can't hear any, like you're the one speaking. Everything else is very muffled.
Okay, sorry about that. The question is, are you putting in a septic system?
Yes, we're hoping to put in a septic system.
Can you all hear her?
We can.
Yeah, I can. So that's all we're approving is the septic system, not the
It-
cabin.
It's earth moving. It's for
It's
earth moving. Yep.
okay.
You should have the permit, it looks like they already got the permit for the dwelling. For the cabin, for the mother. Is that true?
Sophie,
Yes,
did Mark issue you a building permit yet? Or is that being held up until the board looks at this application?
I'm not exactly sure. So when I, started this process, I initially applied for the earth moving permit and then I was told that I needed to do that. So I've been in touch with Mark, I was in touch with Dawn, and then this is kind of what I was told to do first. So I don't really know. I was I'm just kind of doing what I was told and I'm not really exactly sure what I was supposed to do. You can see all the paperwork attached. I did the earth moving permit and, after I submitted the earth moving permit, I was told that I needed to do this permit.
Okay,
application.
I'm gonna say that Mark is waiting for the planning board's decision before he issues a permit.
So you're looking at just the moving of.
Correct.
It's just for the earth.
Earth moving because it's in the public water district.
Okay. We still don't know where
And
the septic is going.
It is noted.
Really?
Well, we didn't get this in our package.
No.
We were a little bit confused. We didn't get this. You gave this to us tonight.
that was not in your
That
package?
was not on the
This
online.
wasn't.
Oh,
post.
that's why I didn't know.
Yeah,
No.
this image was not on the
Right,
online
Oh.
post.
That's what Jamie was asking for.
Right,
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought everyone got the same.
Dawn, there is one. Do you want me to text it to you?
No, I apologize. What happened was we posted the information online and that particular sheet was not on there. So when the board was looking at it prior to tonight, they did not see that. I did provide hard copies tonight, so they're looking at it now.
Oh, cool.
So they have it.
It's okay.
well,
Any questions?
oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the requirements. I thought it might be, and this is something for Mark, what the requirement is for the distance between a well and a septic. I thought it was
100 feet.
I think it's.
Yeah, well, and the lot's only 91 feet wide, so there's no way to do that.
Right. Oh, I see the well, I didn't, that's why.
So,
Or-
the well was marked on the map, there's no way it's 100 feet away if that's 91 feet wide.
Sophie?
Yes,
So the question is about the distance, the separation between the well and the septic. Normally, there's 100-foot requirement. And the board is questioning if there's adequate distance between the well and the septic. Can you speak to that?
so I think from what I understand with, in my conversations with the builder, it's literally going to be, like at 100 or 90 to 100 is what I understand. It's gonna be, the well and the septic are on complete opposite sides of, the structure, or where the structure would be.
Oh, I see that, there's 100 on there and that's.
Yeah, but that can't be right because it's.
Lots on.
I scaled, I mean, based on the rest of the dimensions on this, that 91 is right. So which means the northern half of the lot where it says existing drive, that's actually smaller. And it says 105, and I said, so it must be just completely drawn to scale wrong. And I don't know why, but those other two dimensions, they look like they're part of the tax map, so there's a lot of concern about that, just. So I don't think they have 100 feet. So that's my big concern, is that I don't want to approve something that's not conforming, that it doesn't meet the requirement.
So something that you could do is make it conditional on meeting that requirement that we know exists, and Mark will certainly not issue anything unless it meets that requirement.
Right, I just worry that we get caught up and we approve something that,
They have to come
and,
back.
and they have to come back and be like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, Dawn, if you look up top where it says existing drive, the corner up there, it says 105 feet in the driveway to the existing drive. So I don't see why that couldn't be 100 feet between the well and the septic tank.
Well, again, though, that's a handwritten number. All of the numbers are handwritten, so it's really hard to tell, but the numbers off the tax maps. When I scaled it off, the 91 on the side against the property, that 91 is right. And based on the sketch, that means the existing drive would be smaller than 91. So it'd have to be some smaller number, so there's no way that could be 105. And there's no way to maintain a 100-foot distance, there's just, there's something wrong with the dimensions here that just doesn't add up. And I'm not saying it's not, it could just be the sketches at a strange angle or something else is going on, but there's something else going on that this can't be right. That some of these numbers have to be wrong, and the 91 can't be wrong based on the rest of the tax map, because I scaled off a couple numbers and they were all drawn to scale based off the tax map numbers. So I think the 91 is right, but the actual bend in the driveway, where the end of that line is, I don't know.
I guess I'm a little confused. Are we approving the septic system or are we just approving
The moving.
moving of the soil?
Moving of the fill.
I think somebody's gotta design the septic system.
Well, yeah, Mark needs to approve that, I guess.
Yeah,
But if you're digging a hole and you're only 80 feet away, is that our
Yeah.
problem?
well,
No, actually, and I'm gonna speak to you about the interpretation and application of that after this item. Is there some gray area?
Yeah.
We don't like gray area.
but if
Um,
we approve the earth moving and not the septic system, then Mark has got to approve the septic system.
Mhm.
Right, we can't
I
even.
think.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was more just a question.
Yeah.
I did have a couple other questions. You know, the sketch was number one, but my second question was, and I think this may be just a logistical thing, but. When it says, where is the dirt moving? It says Pitt and Augusta owned by Earth Mover, both owned by Earth Mover. That really needs to be an address. Like, is it the McGee pits? Is it, and what address is it getting moved to? There's been a lot of issues with contaminated soil. I'm not saying any of this is contaminated. But if we're moving dirt off site, we should say where it's going. So it just should have an address.
Where it's going and where it's coming
Well,
from.
and, well, not just an address, but also that the landowner is aware that it's gonna be some on their property.
Mhm.
You know, you see signs all the time for clean fill wanted. If somebody moves contaminated site, dirt onto your site, what does that mean? Who has to deal with that? Who has to do the cleanup? And it's happening more and more and more, so I think just to protect the town and the homeowners, you say, here's the address, here's who's getting the dirt. Simple as that.
Mhm.
You know, I'm sure they probably said it's fine, I'm sure everything's good, I just wanna see there's an address there and the person's name,
It's the
Okay.
contractor's pitch. So,
I'm sure.
that's a good question though, because I've been told in the past, if you live in Winthrop, they're taking the dirt somewhere else, they don't worry about it, supposedly. But that doesn't sound right to me.
Well, but if someone's moving if somebody's moving 100 cubic yards of dirt into Winthrop, we ask, where did that come from and
Yes.
everything else. So again, I don't know what Augusta's requirements are.
No,
It's more just the trackability. We don't want to be
I
dumping
think
dirt
that's a good
someplace else.
point that probably needs to be cleared up.
And-
I don't
Would
know
have to
that
be
it's real clear.
contingent on.
You could make that a condition in this application, and I believe actually moving forward that was in the draft conditional use application that I was working on. I think either I added it in there or someone requested it, so I can make sure that is
Yeah.
something that applicants know upfront. Moving forward.
Okay, any other questions? Anybody else? Please,
Haven't heard any of this conversation.
Maybe.
Sophie? Sophie?
Yes.
Okay, were you able to hear any of that conversation?
A little bit, it's not super clear.
Okay, so the discussion was around where the fill is coming from, where it's going. We were just talking about getting an address. So that that's a known, where the materials are coming and going. And talking about the wellhead separation. So they're just concluding that discussion and no one's made a motion just yet.
Are you done? Are you ready?
I'm
to go?
sorry.
We're still deliberating.
Oh, no, sorry, I was speaking my,
Just in the form of information, the application shows 100 yards. Clear trees, install septic. tank. With the earth removal, yes. Great point about being by the earth removal. I look at the drawing, the sketch. And just to further Greg's point, shows, if you look, it shows 105 feet to the driveway. 50 feet down there, just the driveway, and then it shows another 55 to the border. So that's, what is that, that's 210 feet, something like that. And the Greg's point, it shows 91 as an initial source. Again, just a further Greg, it doesn't make sense.
No.
So I would guess we need a better drawing. And definitively, how we put the septic tank, is it 100 feet from the well? And how far is it from the property line?
Don't believe there's a limit on the property. On a septic, I think we can put it right up to the property. You
I agree.
go, it's the cross.
Yeah, you're right.
They want to put it on your neighbors.
Those are just point out.
But it's 100 feet from,
It has to be 100 feet from the well.
well.
But I
yeah.
don't believe there's a setback because there's no above ground structure,
Oh, good
so I
point.
believe they can put it right on the property line.
So,
Obviously, they can't disturb the
oh, the
neighbor's
wells,
land
the wells, the
when
wells.
they're digging, but
Can't get a variance from the distance of 100 feet. You have to apply for that.
But I guess if we approve the earth moving, we're not approving anything to do with the setback.
yeah, I was putting in a condition.
Yeah.
And just saying that.
That would have.
We're gonna approve that they can dig this 100, they can dig this 100 yards as long as it's 100 feet from the well. Because I don't want them to dig a hole and remove it
No.
and not have it 60
Yeah.
feet away.
Not be able
And
to.
then
Not
tell us
able to
where,
meet that.
where it's going.
Yeah, and well, then put the location of the landowner.
Right.
Those are my two conditions.
Yeah.
You want to make that motion?
You want me? I'll make it, doesn't matter.
I'm talking about case 24004, 206 Brook Cove Lane. Consideration of request for conditional use permit to clear trees, install a septic tank in public water supply district. Sophie Steinberg, map 059, lot 017. It's what we're approving, I guess the condition we're approving is 100 yards of moving, of fill being period. We're not approving a septic tank.
What about the trees? usually
Good.
Mark,
But they're well outside the 250 foot shoreline.
yeah,
That's why I wasn't worried about the trees. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you live outside the 250, you can cut any trees you want,
yeah.
basically. So I wasn't. It is within the water supply district is the only thing.
Yeah.
But
Rick, my condition clear?
that we're gonna be digging 100 feet from the well and that the address and location will be labeled and the landowner will be named.
Where
Where the dirt's going.
Dirt.
Yeah.
Did we ask for public input?
I don't think we had any public.
There's one person online, I don't know
I
what
thought
cat.
that was the person, but they came here.
Do we have anything,
Yes.
anyone?
Cat says she has no comment,
Oh.
No?
he or she,
Okay.
so no one
We
from
don't know.
public.
Oh,
And Jim is present, I don't recall if I
Oh,
said
he
that
is.
earlier, yeah, he's, present.
Oh, no, we didn't know.
Jamie messaged me.
Wasn't it just,
I moved it, but I didn't hear a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed?
May
I
I
would
just,
vote, but I couldn't hear what the motion is.
it's a
It's
motion,
okay.
it's a motion to approve with conditions that the septic be 100 feet from the well. We need to know where the soil is coming from, and where it's going, with an address, and that to label the plan with the address. Is that correct?
Oh, okay,
Yeah, three conditions, so I will put those in
Where
writing.
it's going and the name,
okay.
whose property. it
And I
is.
think the phone hung up on Sophie.
Oh, who am I speaking with?
It's Jamie.
Oh, Jamie. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna put that into writing and I'll send it to Sophie.
Okay, I'll let her know.
And we're gonna be getting that system soon, so hopefully this will not be a repeat episode.
Okay.
I thought we were gonna-
Okay, all right, so yeah,
Yeah.
did you call for the vote already on that?
Yeah. we
Yeah.
voted, it was
Sorry.
unanimous. We're like 3 steps ahead. Never mind.
I feel like I'm throwing a party and it's a bust.
well, if
Jamie wanted to vote.
Oh, yeah.
you can't, you represent somebody.
You
She had to recruit herself from this.
Yeah, I didn't know, I thought we were
I
talking
didn't-
to Sophie.
I thought we were.
You were, and then she just got disconnected.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So that was, okay.
What was your vote, Jamie?
Can't vote.
Yeah,
No.
sure, I agree with you guys.
Did she recuse herself?
No,
I
no,
think so.
Sophie was on there.
Yeah,
Just-
It was so.
It was so.
Okay.
Just gonna relay the.
it's both.
It was so.
You're talking about you.
Okay. Can I?
Oh, Dawn,
Yes,
she wants to know, does she need to submit something else to get the permits to prove those things?
I
You
mean,
want me to tell her that you'll call her, or?
yeah, I'll call her. I'm gonna send her a document and I'll make a follow-up phone call with her as well.
Okay,
I'll get that to her tomorrow.
okay,
Are you gonna stay on for a little bit for a couple of other business items?
yeah, I just won't be able to do, because it's kind of a waste of time, because I can't talk.
Now, if in Winthrop, if you're going to bring dirt in from somewhere else, gotta, basically gotta come here. 20. So, yes, and that's probably in everybody's direction. So he will have to.
I don't know, I think about that every time I drive by that guy's house and it's a clean fill over by the dump.
I don't know, I don't remember.
I'm like-
They're bringing in.
It's not, Mark said it's a very strict requirement to be that small, to be 24 yards. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to be in the shoreline zone. Mark actually, we were talking about that, of actually changing that. It makes sense in the shoreline
In the
zone,
shoreline zone.
but outside of the shoreline zone, does it really make sense? That's required,
That's
but
probably why.
yeah, it is a little bit strange.
100 cubic yards might not trigger that.
Yeah, in most towns, there is no, but in Winthrop, it's 25 yards. That's not much material.
That's for every,
We're on shoreline.
is that all zones? Is that all zones?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, when I was putting the pool in, Mark was very clear, that,
Industrial.
make sure how much you move, keep it to 20.
Oh,
Done.
This leads right into some things I'd like to discuss with you all this evening. I have, if you could just take one and pass it around, it's very pertinent to this discussion.
Take
Moving
one
on.
down,
Moving
pass it
on.
around. Remember a song about that. There we go.
Do we want to do, did we do minutes?
Oh, no, you didn't do minutes yet. You want to do that first?
Let's make it easy minute.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else there read them. I read some.
I read them.
I read through them. I just found a couple
Ed had
Did
some
you?
comments too,
Oh, did he say?
right? Ed sent you some comments.
His name was spelled all
That's what it
different
was.
ways.
Oh,
Yeah,
Right now, yeah.
Places it's spelled wrong.
He's always like that.
3 different, yeah, I'll fix that.
I just, I'm just going first. I noticed on the 12-6 one. Jamie seconded something, but we didn't put her last name.
Oh, that happened on another one. Does it have to be?
Well, we're going on the records.
Yeah.
Thing, you know, we know who it is.
Yeah, okay. I think there's more than one.
And then Betty was not identified as the chairman of some of them.
Well,
They gave all the names, but you know, they used to say Ed, when he was
mhm.
vice chairman, you should be on as chairman.
February 7th. Pretty sure I was in attendance. That was a work session in the next room.
Are you shown as absent?
Pardon?
Are you shown as absent that night? You were there.
I'm not, I don't see my name.
Okay.
Maybe someone can help me. I don't see her.
February what?
So, that was a work session.
I don't have. minutes to do it.
No, you weren't there.
No, he was there.
You were there.
He was there.
Yeah, but not on.
You're not on.
Oh, okay,
He was
okay.
there.
You're not there, but you're there.
He was there. You just.
I was there, but I was not there.
You weren't
There you
all
go.
there. I have one other question, that's probably just my confusion, but. On 110. We were talking about the apartments downtown,
Mhm.
and we said that, that they had substantially met all the criteria.
Mhm.
But then we didn't say we were tabling it, or we didn't say we were approving it. Then on the 124, we actually approved it. I couldn't remember exactly what happened.
There was one meeting that the only motion was to deem it complete.
Okay,
And then the next meeting, this is what should be in there, is that you made a finding of fact and approved it.
yeah, oh, well, I didn't see the fact, but that's, yeah, okay,
The first meeting, there was a list of issues,
yeah,
concerned or questions.
Yeah.
Like historical. So on, so on, river law. Stream law,
Yeah,
and all that got resolved. in
but then we didn't approve it till the next one.
I thought we did.
it was a 2 meeting.
2 meetings, okay, the
Process.
first one we established
Approved.
all that,
And there were questions.
yeah, okay, it didn't. Say we tabled it or anything like that, that's why I kind
Nope, nope.
of.
I'll look at that again, because yeah. And you might notice I have my little, I'm taking minutes. Because we were told that we could go ahead and just use, because the state says name, place, who was there, topics discussed, motions. It's basic, but I am gonna do more in there because it's difficult. So I'm not gonna do full extensive minutes like maybe Jamie had done in the past, something in between. So make it easier.
Motion order. Second meeting.
Greg, did
Are
you
we
have
all set with
changes?
them?
I did not. I wasn't even here for January, so that would be.
I make a motion, to accept the minutes have submitted with the changes that have been submitted.
That's second.
Yeah, all in favor? Okay.
Spell that name right.
I got that. It's a little embarrassing.
Can you get the motion?
Jamie, there was a motion to approve the minutes. And seconded with some changes.
Okay,
Okay. And do you vote in favor or against?
in favor.
Okay.
No, that was good because when I got that, I think I'm gonna get through all those minutes and I'll start opening them up.
It was easier than we thought, wasn't it?
Huh?
It was easier than. we
It
thought.
was, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I like that.
So the document that I just handed you, thank you for doing all of that, by the way. On the front page is the table of land uses. These are pages from the zoning ordinance. And you can see that principal structures and uses are permitted with driveways in the resource protection. It does require to go to the planning board, and the stream protection in the public water district. In the shoreland district, the CEO can approve that. Where I've always worked, how I've always seen it interpreted is that earthwork associated with a foundation was part of the building permit application. Unless, something within the 100 feet was different, but outside of that would be under the purview of the CEO. And that what comes to the planning board would be like shoreline stabilization or drainage changes, landscaping where they're doing retaining walls and bringing in a lot of fill. So I talked to Mark about this, and that made sense to him. So I sent out a message to the state to see what their thought on that was. But I wanted to bring it up to you all tonight to see what your thoughts were. And what that would mean to you is there are some applications that would not come to you that are currently coming to that Mark would review. And it would give you more time to work on our long list.
But if they're moving 25 yards or more material, they have to come to us based on our order.
Well, so this is the question. So Mark can approve a single family or two family home, which includes a foundation, includes a septic system and a driveway. He can do that.
Okay.
So do they need a fill permit in addition to that? Or is the fill associated with those improvements covered under the fact that he's able to approve a septic system and a single family home?
Guess I assume that they're already doing.
No, we're not. So tonight,
Well, there was 3 new homes out of Memorial Drive that were done. And they moved more than 25 yards.
did it come here?
I don't remember. You ever anybody remember the houses out on Memorial Drive?
We've done a couple. We did one not far from your house on the other side of the street.
Yeah, remember that
And then
one?
we did the garage. Is there
Yeah,
more?
no, there's 3 new houses down there that I know that remember.
They're everywhere now.
Well, if they're outside, are they outside the 250-foot mark? Would they be 250 feet away? from the water?
Probably, but I thought we had
Well, I think, again, my understanding is sort of, if it's outside the 250-foot mark, which is sort of like, okay, well, that's okay. I mean, our ordinance says anytime you move 25 yards, you have to come to the planning board, period, any zone.
Right.
Entirely. That's kind of silly in my mind. So I'm not,
Another
You know,
point here to jump in is that actually changed. The most recent changes that you guys didn't get, like I gave you a new ordinance. You'll notice in that ordinance that included the most recent changes. And you changed that. So outside of the shoreline district,
okay, because we discussed changing it, but I didn't realize. we ever
You did.
included it.
you did,
Okay.
yeah. I didn't know that, and I was working off an old ordinance.
Okay,
So Deb and I have
yes,
been
yes.
sifting through and
Exactly, some of the time.
I apologize.
Talking about it.
Yeah, but I know we
Art talked about it.
Yep, and we've
I
talked
do
about it several times because we thought it was just really onerous.
yeah,
And I don't have a problem with all 4 of those coming to the planning board. I don't. If they're in shoreline, I think that should still come to the planning board, because as we've seen is, I don't think people are coming with very good plans on how to deal with development in the shoreline. So, yeah,
So anything beyond 250 feet,
unless they're in resource protection or the public water. 'Cause those are the
Yeah.
500 and 1,000 foot,
you can,
and
That's why-
streams are 75 feet, so other than that, it's,
when did that take place?
yeah.
the dates, I can tell you.
That one house built 2 years ago.
It didn't get incorporated and printed. There's just so much going on. 12/21/23 is when the council adopted it.
Oh. These houses were built before.
I'm sorry, I apologize. That was the ADU, all those provisions in 12/21/23. 11/1/21 was when the other changes before I came.
That would have made it not necessary to come to us for 25.
Yeah, and I had a different
Yeah,
ordinance, so they
that's
have been
fine.
coming.
I walked by them down there.
That's why they
Well,
didn't
they're
come.
building these things and we haven't seen them.
Yeah,
We don't have to do them anymore, right?
right, and I think that's fine, but I
Oh,
think
yeah.
if it's in shoreland resource protection,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I think that would be the only thing is I would put all four of those to the planning board on your highlighted line. I would change the one CBO to the planning board. But anything outside of one of those zones, perfectly fine.
And I apologize, what number line are you looking at?
The very first line on page 17 that you have highlighted.
A, 11A, principal
Yeah,
structures and uses.
11A, just change all those to planning board would be my recommendation.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
When I came here, if Mark wasn't here, I would have looked at this ordinance and said, oh, you don't need a fill permit for that. You're getting a single family home, you're putting in a septic and a foundation. Those things are all ancillary to that use and that permit. You don't need a separate fill permit.
Yep.
And that's the way I've seen it applied in other towns. And so Mark and I talked about, and it hasn't been applied that way here. And you could see how it could read either way.
Right,
So I had talked to Mark today about, can you see it this way? And he said, yeah. And he said, actually, that would be easier. So I reached out to the state to say, how does the state actually intend it? Like, what's the spirit and intent of this regulation? So, but we didn't want to go and just interpret something differently. So I wanted to talk to you and tell you that, we had this discussion. I put it out to the state. So next meeting, I want to kind of give this stuff for you guys to chew on in the
Okay.
next meeting. You know, I don't expect you to be able to just respond.
but I guess, yeah, it's interesting that the recommendation would be for a stream, maybe that's fine, but for public water and resource protection, that it would come to us, but then shoreline zone wouldn't.
yeah.
That's a weird distinction. I would think it would be the other way. Maybe streams, because you have to deal with floodplain, a few other factors would come to us. But shoreline would be the first one I would recommend coming to us. Then I would worry less about resource protection, and then I would worry about even less public water.
Right.
Because those are the different distances.
And this is based on the state. It's not something that you all decided here in town. Oh, no, this one's planning board, this one's put like,
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it doesn't surprise me if the state does something backwards. That's pretty common. But I'm thinking if it's sort of like one or all of them. We're gonna say no to all of them. Streams I can see leaving in because there's a lot of subjectivity. What is 75 feet from a stream? Because I can tell you right now that I can give you 4 different definitions and you'll believe all of them. So, because that's a complicated one, because streams change. Lakes and ponds just really don't by comparison.
But it's a practical matter. Since I've been on the board, we've reviewed several studies. Well, right over here,
And-
and they're in, shoreline.
But I'm in agreement. I'm saying, I think earth moving should be here because what I've seen is bad earth moving plans. And I think that would be worth us to see, that they're gonna be held maybe to a higher standard and they're gonna have to get our approval. You know, even if they've got their engineer just quoting the last one that said, oh, well, I like this underground drainage ditch that runs right into the lake. And I'm like, I don't like that. And as a planning board, that's a resource protection. I think that's sort of what our goal is. Maybe it's not. but-
so anything currently above 25 cubic yards does come to you. I haven't seen a lot of just, stabilization or
But you're saying
drainage.
Except for foundation.
Well, that's what the question
exception.
is.
And I guess I would say.
Foundations, septic systems, because that's something that's associated with the project as opposed to someone coming and doing earth moving and just changing the drainage or.
Yeah.
So that's the question of the interpretation. And so I'm gonna find out what the state says and you guys chew on it and decide what you want to do. It's your ordinance. You could do it either way.
Well, I remember when we discussed it, and I thought that was where we landed, was we were okay with in the rural zone, in the industrial zone, if you're moving, we don't really need to see you if you're moving 25 yards of material. That seemed kind of silly. If you're building a house anywhere in town, we'd see every house, like, that doesn't make any sense. But that's the way it read.
Mhm.
But we said in the shoreline zone, that makes sense for us to see it.
So you've had this
We
discussion.
had this discussion, and that's where I thought we landed. That's why this is not where we landed when we had the discussions.
So do you think this is inaccurate to what you finalized?
The only thing is the shoreline zone should be planning board, not CEO. That's the only difference. The rest of it, that's exactly what we discussed, is that it all comes to us, and I'm not saying that's. I'm 100% sure that's what we discussed.
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure that's the way I would vote if we had a choice.
Yep.
So I'm trying to separate the two, saying when we discussed it, we said we were just gonna change the earth moving outside of the different protection zone.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense if they're in the rural zone, nowhere near any water, they're digging a hole, they gotta come to us, like, that doesn't make any sense. You know, that
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense.
It's just kind of odd that this is what the state says, yet the state's the one that's put all. the
Totally zoning,
restrictions.
all state,
And
and
they
I,
put 25 or 20 foot
Yeah.
height
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff on it, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
they're leaning as hell on this one. That doesn't make
What
any
we've done
sense.
is this is not what we do.
well, yeah, I mean. Again, it's that earth moving piece of it, if you said the earth moving is part of building the dwelling, they're going to go get a building permit. Then you'd say, okay, well, that earth moving doesn't count, but if they were doing other earth moving, they would have to come. And I'm like, no, earth moving is earth moving is earth moving, we're trying to protect the water bodies. So we need to see the earth moving, in my mind. That's the way it should be. We have a ton of lakes that need protection. Their phosphorus levels are always going up. And one way to do that is to stop dirt running directly into the lakes.
So how do we resolve this?
Well, I'm gonna wait to hear back from the state, and I didn't expect you to be able to have much time to think on it tonight, so discuss it at a future meeting.
Well, no action, this is.
No action on any of this. So,
Oh, there's some more stuff.
yeah, so if you keep
They're
going
later on, like you'll see them.
on page 20,
You know, like if you go number 6. Number 6 is single family residence structures may be allowed by single, so each one is a separate. Oh, there's a lot to that table.
yes, there is.
There's a lot to unpack in that one table.
So page 20 E is erosion control, and there are some standards. My thought would be to take these and make these standard conditions of approval. And again, I'm not looking for an answer right now, but something for you to think about, because what I'd like to do is to create some standard conditions of approval, like you have to pull a building permit and you have to have erosion control measures. One of the things that I would suggest, and Mark and I talked about briefly, is those measures have to be in place and inspected before they turn over a shovel. And some things you'd think that people would just know to do, but they don't always. So I'd like to have some standard conditions of approval. And so if you could contemplate whether or not you think these are appropriate.
So kind of similar to what we've already done
I started to,
on the 10, 12 questions.
yeah, it would
For the
become,
permit.
become part of that format.
This would be,
Like subdivision standard conditions of approval would something like recording the plan within 90 days at the registry of deeds and whatever the surety requirement is. And so maybe amendments to the plan. So there'd be standard conditions for subdivision, standard conditions for these conditional use permits. And eventually, if you have site plan regulations, they would just be standard. So you wouldn't every single time have to go through and say, did we cover that? Did we get that? And it would be standard, and then you would add or amend as appropriate per application. So if you could think on that.
Well, specifically for erosion control, I think your statement's great. I think the only thing I would add at the end, in the very top sentence, is I would say, where it says the following best practices, best management practices, can include, but not limited to the following. Because some people may say, check that as a checklist. So if they say, oh, I did those 5 things, I'm done. And they're good, but we could have other limitations that we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we can't add those. Because those are the only 5 we can use. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and
I
this,
get it, best management practice. I get that.
we could also reference, instead of listing these 5, we could reference the best management practice. I mean, they have a little manual, right, at the state.
Well, I think that's great, but sometimes I think it's great to reference.
Spell it out.
To spell it out in a small section and not be like, go read this 50-page manual on how to do shoreline protection. I think that's great, but I just want to make sure that we're not, some people would read that as like, that's the whole set of
Yeah.
rules. And you're like, no, that's not the whole set of rules. That's some set, we're trying to help you out here.
it would depend on the application.
It does. It
Yeah.
depends on what they're doing and all that. That's where I'm saying it, just to make sure we're not limited to that. It's just always one of those sticking points.
Okay, I can add that language, and then again, you can still
Yeah.
think about it. And then on 52, there's that whole question about what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Does an application go to the zoning board or planning board? So I'd like to clarify it. This is my recommendation, but you could go the other way. You could say ZBA first. But I just want to make sure it's clear one way or another.
I mean, from our perspective, that definitely makes sense. If they need a variance, they need to go get the variance before they come here for approval. That seems silly to go the other way.
That's my
I
recommendation.
mean, the only thing that would be weird is if we denied, it, you know, if they gave them the variance, they came here, we denied it. Then they go back for their appeal to the same board. But that, you know, that would happen.
I hadn't
Well,
thought
that's
about that
exactly what the way it would
process.
happen though, because they would go and request a variance from them. But the Board of Appeals does variances and appeals. So they would go for a variance, and then if we denied it, then they'd have to go back to the same board for an appeal. But that's for a different reason. That's not the same thing. So for me, I would say it has to come first, because we shouldn't be approving things that absolutely need a variance. That shouldn't be allowed for us to do, because we're saying you're approved violating the town.
Exactly.
We can't say-
The threshold
Usually
issue.
what they've done is they approved it contingent.
I know.
You know, getting.
I know.
And
And
But
that's the same thing we've done, yeah, we've done,
Yeah.
I remember approving one, we said, we're approving it condition that they get the variance. But it just feels weird, it's like, go get the variance first, because if they don't get the variance, why are they even coming?
And then to the other board, they're saying, well, if the planning board isn't gonna approve it, why should we?
Spend the time doing it, I know.
It's
whole
a kind of
circle.
a
It's a whole circle.
You can see both sides.
Well, you
Well,
clarify in
What
the
we do
beginning.
is, we say it's their job first, and it's.
Well, and
What they say that?
Yeah,
Well,
My take is if an application comes in and it doesn't meet zoning, it's
Right.
not coming to you.
Yeah.
So unless they get a variance, it doesn't meet the zoning. So that, to me, it's clear. But it's up to you and the council to decide. So my professional suggestion is that you do it this way first. I know there's a whole history to it. So if you could just chew on that for now in the next meeting.
well, the other thing is you're screening these applications as they come. Right?
Mhm.
And if you see something that the planning board isn't going to approve, they're probably gonna let.
It gets caught, you know.
It usually won't, yeah.
Yeah, and then they can still take it to the field board, but knowing that chances are, hey, it's already violating. other things, so.
Yeah,
So ultimately, council would have to say, this is the order it happens and that's
Yeah.
also.
so anything we discussed, I'd like to have a little running list, and you guys have some, and Ed says he has. You get your discussions around about setbacks and front, like different things that you've talked about changing, and I'd like to get a laundry list. Because you have to discuss it here, we have to post a formal public hearing. And then you make a recommendation to the council, after you take that public input, they hold a public input, a public hearing. And then they make the ultimate vote. So you're making a recommendation to them, you're building the language. But they have the ultimate say. So if we make a little change, like adding this one sentence, it has to go through that whole process. So I thought, unless it's really time sensitive, is let's build up a list of cleanup
Yeah,
things,
do it.
and
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
Right.
and it sounds like you have some that you're working
Right,
on.
table 3, we really wanted to spend, do some cleanup.
Yeah. Is there other notes on that, or you did what you were gonna do?
Well, Ed has.
He has
one
more,
copy. I have
okay.
I have the same copy with my hand notes on it at the house. So, and we had a whole meeting about it, we kind of went through it, a lot of it was just. Why are we doing 40 feet here, 30 feet there, 20 feet there, we had all these weird numbers. It was like,
Arbitrary lines.
Let's just kind of make them all like, you have to be 20 feet from the road and 20, you know, it's.
Okay, we've got all that information, and I hadn't seen it.
We did, we went and we had, came up to it, right? Well, it's, no, we did all that discussion, we had a table, we were ready to move forward. And then Jim brought up the issue that we're not 508 compliant. And so Ed took all of those changes he made and set them off to the side. He was gonna go, we just talked, so Ed has his updated version, he was gonna go find that and bring that back up to us, because we said, we might as well start with what we already did. The updates we did, and he did some cleanup, because our ordinance really was confusing. We were listing some things twice and even 3 times, and we're like, why are we doing this? And it was just because of the different zones and the way, why are we listing this here if we're not gonna list it here? we went through,
We should put that on the agenda, two meetings down the road.
we really need Ed's version, and then, yeah, and I would say, one thing that would be great, if we put that on the agenda, to make sure we get Ed's version and send that out.
That's why I said two meetings.
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, you should be back in a couple of weeks.
And adding to, you just referenced the 508, so since our last meeting, and I think I had mentioned, I did put in a budget, first planning budget for the town, so I tried to, but there is a company that codifies ordinances and puts them online, and there's a lot of other things that go along with that, but one of the things is they make sure that it's compliant.
Yeah, I think that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I put,
Kind of simple at first, and that was gonna work with,
Yeah.
Then it wasn't so simple. I
Wasn't quite so
remember.
simple.
and it's very user-friendly for the public, it can be linked to our, online mapping, which that's all coming together right now too, so I don't know what the council will do with it, but Anthony did recognize that that's important, the 508
Does
piece.
that have to be done before we can do any of the rest of this stuff? Or is it
No.
Good enough to have it in.
Based on our last discussion was, we were basically saying, no, we felt like it's more important if the ordinance needs to get updated, let's update it.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then as soon as we get that, well, because if they make it 508 compliant now, and then we change it, then we have to go back to the same company to make it
Yeah.
508 compliant
Well,
again.
That would be.
That just seemed very inefficient with the town resource.
But we,
And we have a lot of ordinances to update, and we probably should be, as the ordinances come out and they're newer, we want to make sure all of the new ones, any revised ones, gonna be 508 compliant. If it's 30 years old, it's 30 years old, and probably we should look at it before.
and regardless
we try
of
to
it's
make it 508
land
compliant.
use or not, right?
Exactly.
So this line item would be for all the ordinances, it's not just planning related ones.
Right.
I didn't know there was a groundwater ordinance. It's not codified anywhere, so I didn't have
The ground
that
water.
structure to know, so that would not happen in the future because everything would be so structured,
Back to two.
but it costs money.
Specifically, ZBA and stuff. Other than appeal from our board decision.
Board appeals, administrative appeals from Mark's decision, yep, and then Vulcan Space, they can't do a use variance, but they can do setbacks.
So. Something they're gonna see before we see it is gonna be setback. Correct?
So when it comes to you, it will meet the setbacks
Right.
if they have the variance.
So why don't we make that more specific? Two setbacks for the ZBA. This is very general, and people will get confused whether it's appeal from something we made a decision about. Or if it's an appeal because of a setback. I think here you're talking about setback.
where are you looking at?
I'm back on board.
Yeah.
Oh,
52-40.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to be more specific than it is.
Just add the clarifying statement that any applicant also requiring zoning board of appeals approval for a variance shall be received by the Board of Zoning Appeals approval prior to being approved under this section. So basically just adding in 4 setbacks, because that's, like you said, that really should be the only thing that they would get us a variance on before it came to us. So
Then
if
to
we
clarify,
just added the setback, then it makes it clear that that's the only thing they should be doing. Is
No.
getting the variance.
in that same line of ZBA and BZA, is the same thing.
Yeah, BZA and ZBA are the same thing. It's been different in different towns, so I just confused it.
Yeah.
It's the
Which
same.
is,
I have to look at my zoning ordinance.
Before zoning board of appeals.
So-
Like it's.
I think-
Board of Appeals, yeah.
But what
Yes,
Craig's
I
getting
will.
at, what I'm
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah,
clarifying why you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just put,
okay.
receive, variance for setback. And that's all you need to add, and right into that middle sentence, it's all good.
The other thing,
I think that.
perspective of a submitter,
Right out there.
It's very-
You'll be telling them that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
We
won't get to
see
you.
And that's
See,
simple for me to
Now
understand.
discuss, we tell them what the.
from the
Yeah.
perspective of a submitter.
Yeah, that's
just to
hard.
Clarify.
Yeah.
We confuse it, now,
We do.
because this isn't fair.
Well, the legalese confuses a lot,
Mm.
because of the way ordinance have to be.
But other than that, we direct them to come here first,
We do.
and then we send them to
But
ZBA.
then.
And you
it's
can interpret it
clear-
both ways.
But then it's clear, it's just for variance.
Yeah,
It's just, they're not going there, you don't go for an appeal before you actually come to the board. Or just to clarify with them.
Oh, yeah, next time never go to bed.
All right, so I'll make change there.
I think that just clarifies it a little.
I think so too, it's just, and it is weird because it's the zoning board of appeals. And you kind of go. Wait a minute, I get the variance from the zoning board? of appeals?
Yeah,
Yes, you do, and if you didn't know that, it could be confusing, so, yeah, no, that's a good
Is
statement.
that it on that?
pardon me?
That's it on that.
Nope, one more.
Another one?
If you go to the next page 53. There's two things under procedure for releasing permit. So we've been sending ads for shoreline permits to the newspaper, and there's deadlines associated with that. There's a cost associated with that. There's fewer people reading the newspaper. The state doesn't require it. The state doesn't require public hearings for a shoreline permit. It's always at a public meeting, but a public meeting and a public hearing are different. The noticing requirement for our public hearing is running it in a newspaper 2 times, so many days in advance, butter notification always. A public meeting is different. And you have more flexibility. So I want to make sure that we specify it's not a public hearing and it is a public meeting, and we will still notice it appropriately, and butters will get noticed. But if we get hung up on that, running in the paper 2 times, it's a big cost, and legally, like, it spreads the applications out because, you know, they may miss, we may not be able to, between one meeting and the next, we may not be able to run the ad. So it throws a bunch of stuff off, and you still take the public input. So I think we should change that to public. I've never seen it as a public hearing for shoreline permit, and I did confirm with the state that their intention was for it would be at a public meeting, but the language just is unclear. They left it open because we can strike it, I guess is just where I'm going with, because this was taken straight from the state shoreline ordinance. It's not a complete thought because they don't require a public hearing. They don't give the noticing parameters. It just says the hearing. So I'd like to clarify that it's a meeting, a public meeting. And that folks will still get notified as abutters. We will still put it, you know, in all the social media and the website. But we would not be held to a deadline so many days in advance of having it in a newspaper. So again, I'm not looking for an answer tonight, but just.
I'm a huge fan, I want to get rid of the newspapers. I have to do public notices for FEMA, we spent over $50,000 last year. $50,000 with public notice. The Charles watershed alone was almost $25,000. The newspaper's got you over a barrel. You're like, I gotta put this ad in, and of course FEMA gives it to us, 2 paragraphs,
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, you know, $1,800 for once, and then $1,800 the second time, you're like, are you kidding me?
You don't know whether they're making money anymore.
Oh, that's
Buy the newspaper.
well, we're paying for the newspaper. Jeez.
there is, you won't have a choice as of yet because the state statute requires the newspaper for when you do land use amendments, so any zoning amendments. We will still have to notice in the paper, but for this,
Anything we can cut out of newspaper. we'll
Okay.
do, Cause it's crazy expensive.
okay,
Because the
I wasn't
price
sure how
will
you
be
feel
going
about
up.
this.
And that's because nobody's reading it.
So you're gonna bring it back 2 meetings from now with the addition that.
Yep. If you can hold on to that, I'm gonna go ahead and make some changes based on our discussion, and then you'll have time to think about it, and then I'll send you the updated version for the next meeting. And I want to mention also, Anthony asked that I not deliver packets. That was the plan, was for me to deliver packets, because I know Mark used to, but he was out running around. And Anthony was very specific that he didn't want to use my time doing packets. He wants me to be doing this kind of stuff, which I feel kind of bad because I don't mind doing that. But so I don't know if anyone had a chance, how many of you had a chance to come get them at town hall, but those hours are limiting. So I was thinking I could bring them down to the police dispatch, because there's always someone there. And I don't know if you could think about that, how
Where
that
do
might-
you have them down? Right at the desk?
they're at the clerk's.
Clerk's
You got yours at the clerk's desk today, right?
I picked them up yesterday, right at the main.
Yeah, no, that's not,
Where you register your car.
Okay.
They're sitting right there.
I think their hours are good enough.
They're not for me.
I can get there within those hours.
They're not for working people. Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you're retired, that's one thing. Yeah, and they
Oh,
call
I
it
thought-
30, so it's hard.
So when you-
Yeah, police station work better for me.
Okay, and you're okay, Jamie, with the town hall hours?
Yeah, that was okay.
Okay. Yep, and so, and I understand Anthony's, he wants me to use
That makes sense.
the highest and best use of my time, but. So I wish it was more convenient for you, but I'll do that. I'll put yours at police dispatch, and the other ones will be here at town hall
Okay.
at the clerk's desk.
Sorry to be difficult.
No, it's not difficult at all. And then like you had come by to pick yours up, and if, feel free to come by the office if you have questions, want to talk about something. I like that,
Now,
actually.
when are you gonna be putting them down? When are you gonna putting them out of the court step?
We'll put them out on Friday. If I can put them sooner, I'll let you know, but it would be the Friday
Okay,
before.
but I'm just saying, if I was trying to pick it up on Friday, that would be okay.
Yeah,
Be there.
yeah.
That's all I was just checking.
You know what I'll do actually is, no, never mind. I was gonna say, I'll put them at the dispatch at the end of day Friday, if people aren't able to pick them up, but you can still pick them up on Monday. Then you wouldn't have it for the weekend, is all. Well, I guess think about that too, what the best way to do it is.
But they'd be there first thing Friday.
Yep,
You done?
you are trying to zoom out of here, aren't you?
We'll be adjourned.
I'm done.
Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you all for letting me go through that.
Thanks for doing it.
Anthony doesn't have anything like that.
Huh?
So I have a
Of
motion
course,
to
that's
adjourn.
7 people driving.
Okay, thank you. Vote. Motion to adjourn seconded. Jamie, you want to adjourn?
Yes, please.
Thank you
Sorry,
all.
I wasn't there. Dawn, is it okay if I ever text you if I'm gonna be running late or something? Cause I don't have anybody else's cell phone number, I don't think.
Sure, you can text.
Okay.
Yep,
I was like, I'm gonna email everybody, but I couldn't email that I was gonna be on Zoom. I figured you all would figure it out eventually.
yeah, that was a little painful.
Oh my God, that was awful.
That was awful. But it just keeps reinforcing the fact, that we need to get the system replaced and the council's right on board because they're having the same issues.
We have employees
Oh,
that are called
yeah, it
PERS,
needs to be done.
federal employee retirement.
Yeah, that's money well spent.
Now
It
they
is
have PERS
expensive, but
2.0.
money well
They're
spent.
about to come out with
I agree.
All right, well, thank you so much for attending.
PERS 2.0, pay 2% extra.
Okay, good night.
Security.
Do we have your cell phone?
They pay
You're not here. are
2.0,
you?
2% more.
If you don't, I'm gonna give it to you right now.